Higurashi Hou, for those that do not know, Higurashi was a series of 8 chapters. The original 4 being mysteries, the following 3 answered those questions. So basically, or was it? No. 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, I'm gonna think here. 1, 2, 3. No, it was 4 and 4. I had to think there. It was 4 question arcs, 4 answer arcs, is how it went. And with the 8th one, our main characters ended up breaking the curse of the Watanashi Festival, and they're now free of their curse of basically living the same years and dying. With Higurashi Hou, which basically the main story is Outbreak, which will be, best way to put it, a new thing that's not the curse involved. Then we have a punishment game, and then we have something that is unique to say. Well, let's go ahead and start. Let's see how this goes. So yeah, we got the 3 fragments. This is origin, so this is basically what Higurashi. That is a little too loud. I know it's loud on my end, so that's why I'm hoping it's not too loud on your guys' end. I forgot how loud the music was. So yeah, origins. What basically what started the idea of Higurashi. Outbreak. I have to clear Outbreak. Is that Outbreak again, or that's Outbreak? I know that. That might be the second part of Outbreak. I'm not sure, but that's the one we're going to start with anyway. Is Outbreak, because it is, for those that watched the anime, that is how it goes. It goes through all the chapters of Higurashi. Then the OVAs you got in order was Outbreak, the punishment game. Actually, I think the punishment game was the last one. Let me look here real quick. So I think the punishment game was the last one that came out. That's if I remember right. Besides the new series that came out. Besides Go. See, Outbreak was 13. Ray was okay. Okay, Ray was in the last one. Ray was the perfect world. See, Outbreak. I know there was something else. Show me just the anime. Neko. Okay, so no, the punishment game came out before the Perfect World one. In Outbreak. Okay. Damn. That tells me that order. I don't even remember the own order of a series I like. Then again, I haven't watched it in a while. But with what we got here, Origin is going to be definitely our last one. So we'll go ahead and start Outbreak, which is a virus that starts killing us all. This work of fiction, any resemblance to actual persons or organization is entirely consensual. Basically, it's just a coincidence. Oh, come on. My lighter's not lighting. That lighter's dead. God damn it. This is Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, SDF. As of 4 o'clock today, we have quarantined the Higurashi region and other surrounding regions as designated by the prefectural governor. So this is after they already quarantined everyone off. So it'll be after this that we are should be the start, and then we go through flashbacks. What happened? At least from what I can remember. We ask that all residents in these areas please remain indoors and wait further instructions. Please use your television radios and the disaster management radio system to stay informed. You will not be permitted to leave this district until we confirm it is medically safe to do so. We repeat, you will not be permitted to leave this district. Any who do not will be dealt with according to national law. Shoot on sight. So everyone, we must ask that you please return to your homes and remain calm. It was really hard to hear that rough voice over the roar of their camouflaged helicopter. Have discovered the outbreak of a previously unknown virus. This virus has been classified as one of the many hazardous viruses by the World Health Organization, the WHO, of course. Several government sources have already confirmed an offer from the American government to provide emergency assistance in developing the vaccine. We believe our government has already begun preparations to accept their aid. This virus has an incubation period stretching 30 to 50 days, and they are scrambling to secure enough vaccines for the 2,000 quarantined residents. At the present time, all phone lines to the Higurashi district are flooded, and reaching anyone within is nearly impossible. The current congestion is making it difficult for the prefecture's disaster prevention center to ascertain the exact situation. Furthermore, a ban on tap water and well water has been put in place. Okay, so they can't drink tap water. They can't drink well water. What the fuck? What water are they supposed to drink if they don't have bottled water? And with when this is set, the years and all that, bottled water wasn't much of a thing. Please do not consume any water except that provided by the SDF's water trucks. Okay, so they're providing water for them. In addition, illegally parking on any roads will hinder the disaster relief efforts. Please relocate your vehicles at once. Representative Unabara of the Democratic Socialist Party has criticized the avoidance of proper procedures in order to dispatch of SDF disaster relief, strongly voicing his opinion that this is a step backwards toward militarism, which could lead to further isolation of our nation within the Asian political community. No shit. This is the XX Prefecture Disaster Prevention Center. At 12 o'clock today, we shall conduct simultaneous medical examinations in the following locations. Please follow the instructions of your town or neighborhood council as you assemble there. Please make certain you get examined unless you have excruciating circumstances. God damn it. Can't even speak. This is why I hate what I do these series. So in other words, if you cannot make it to the test facility, That's the only reason they're going to exempt you. If you notice any symptoms of illness, you must. This is the JGF, of course, Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force. By order of your prefectural governor, this region has been quarantined to prevent the further spread of disease. You are not permitted to leave the quarantine zone. We promise to secure food, water, over other daily necessities, electricity, and communication systems for everyone. Please continue to remain calm. Yeah, no one's going to remain calm in a situation like that. They're going to freak out. All of a sudden, one day, the peaceful boredom of everyday life was shattered. I doubt anyone woke up today expecting it to be any different from an ordinary early summer morning. The sky was just as blue as ever, and the sun rose just as it always did. Yet the helicopters flying at low altitude with their speakers blaring, and the sight of traffic backed up at a blockade on the main road into the city was enough to let everyone know that this morning was anything but normal. By the time it was broadcast on the morning news, the confusion had already settled down to a degree. The residents of Himizawa couldn't act like this was all happening in some distant city as they listened to the emergency broadcast, because there was no doubt that this emergency was happening in the very town we lived in. I stirred restlessly in my bed like I usually did before eventually crawling out. Once I came down to our dining room, found my parents glued to the television, which is where I learned the news, peeking over their shoulders. So we're still what this is still from Kenichi's perspective. Okay. I wonder how many villagers muttered the same thing I did at first. What? What's going on? Kenichi, it's awful. Listen, they discovered a horrible disease here in Himizawa, and they're quarantined the whole village. No, again, it's not the curse. This is terrible. When do you think they're going to let us go? I need to head out for a meeting tomorrow for the event in Osaka. Quarantined? Then we can't go into town either. Looks like it. They said they'll provide food, but this is a real pain. We barely have anything in our refrigerator since today's when they have that special sale down in Okimiya. More importantly, what is this virus anyway? It has to be pretty dangerous if they're quarantining the whole region, right? What's going on here? Are we infected too? Ah, the whole town's infected. Shh, they're explaining it on the TV right now. Once the initial signs appear, the following symptoms develop over the following week. Our entire family. No. Sure, everyone in the village went speechless as that footage played. Small African village was completely annihilated, and the terrible spectacle was almost too gory to look at, given the unrecognizable state of the resulting corpses. The people out of this dangerous reach were being irresponsible, and satisfying their urge to spectate, watching this footage of the harm dealt by this mysterious, heretofore unknown virus. But for those of us directly faced with this crisis, it was far too real and far too terrifying. So for those that don't know, since it don't explain the footage, the entire village they showed on the TV was basically killed. Either the villagers killed themselves, killed each other, or even worse. Best way to put it, what they saw was the Himizawa syndrome, or those that don't, or who's been, those that don't know the series, the curse that basically caused all the incidents throughout the series, where someone went insane and either clawed out their own neck, killed people, went hysterical, and everything else. So yeah, it's a bigger virus of that. I suddenly glanced up at the clock and saw that it was long past time for me to meet up with Rena. I was already late. Normally, Rena would have come to pick me up directly if it was over 5 minutes past our meeting time, but that didn't happen this morning. Of course not. I'm sure Rena is also glued to the TV along with her family right about now. Rena only has her dad. Either that or maybe she's currently infected with this mysterious virus and is suffering under its symptoms. The moment that thought reached my mind, I started worrying about not just her, but Mion, Sakato, Rika as well. I ran for a telephone in the hallway on impulse and tried dialing a number, but I didn't even hear the usual dial tone. It made sense. The whole village and the population of those outside with relatives in the area probably went for the receivers all at once just as I had. It was reasonable to assume that the phone lines couldn't keep up. That left me wanting to visit them to make sure their safety in person. But the whole village could be full of pockets of that dangerous virus. Wouldn't it be suicide to barge outdoors in that case? Keiichi, come here, quickly. My dad was just coming out of his altair. His arms were full of cardboard boxes. From what I could see, they were packed full of duct tape wrapped in unopened vinyl bags. Apparently, my dad had them in stock to use with his paintings or something. I didn't even question why he had grabbed duct tape in this emergency. I understood immediately why my dad was calling for me to help. Keiichi, you cover the second floor. They're going to duct tape every single window shut. Shut the windows tight, seal them up with duct tape. Our air conditioner might be connected to the air outside too. Cover the AC vents with newspaper, then seal them up with duct tape. I'll cover the first floor. Your mom can cover the kitchen. Dear, it's too late for any of that. Duct tape won't do anything to keep microorganisms out. It'll still make a small difference. Just help already. Yeah. I'm just thinking how many people actually did this a few years back. Yeah, a lot of people did that. They still do. They walk around with masks, gloves. My dad's tone made it clear that he wasn't going to suffer any objections, but my mom was right. She was being relatively calm given the situation. Viruses are tiny organisms smaller than even dust, so it's pretty delusional to think that sealing up openings with store-bought duct tape could keep them out. At the same time, I understood how my dad was feeling too. It was just so sudden. Even if there was no scientific backing to his beliefs, and even though it wouldn't make any difference, he still had to try and do something to stop it. That would comfort his mind far more than just sitting in front of the television. Whenever my mom, oddly stubborn, my father, wildly emotional, started arguing like that, I go up to the second floor to avoid them. Why do I not have any audio for that? The music can go down. My mom was right. I knew we couldn't really do anything to prevent infection, but I shared my dad's desire to do something about it, even if it was just for my own peace of mind. I looked out the window. The grand sight before me was a view I took pride in, one that moved me deeply when I first arrived here. Magnificent scenery itself was the same view, as always, of Himezawa's beautiful traditional buildings. Yet today there was no sight of any villagers. I couldn't spot a single villager out working the paddy fields. I was certain that the stubborn old farmers wouldn't ditch their work even today. But that silly hope of mine was shattered. To be honest, that made me realize I was hoping to find solace in the sight of them carrying on like normal. Even the most stubborn of village elders weren't out working their fields. Maybe they were afraid of getting infected with the virus. Or maybe they were afraid of another villager thinking they were infected instead. Of course. I wonder what that sounds like. uh, uh, why is Discord going off? No. Of course, it's a friend reminding me about something to later today. It's not till 11 o'clock! Yes, I know about third 3D debut. Shush! In that sense, my dad's amateur idea of trying to keep the virus out with duct tape might be the more normal response, instead of questioning its effectiveness like my mom was doing. The village was shrouded in a silent fear. The only sound to be heard were the voices over the disaster management radios and the roar of the SDF's helicopters. Those sounds only served to make the silence more chilling. Normally, the chorus of the cicadas would be starting around this time. The cicadas are the noise that we heard when we started the game. That I actually wish I could hear them half the time. But their chorus didn't reach the villagers' ears. No, the helicopter overpowered it. Yep, so we're on the next day. There we go. Now we can actually hear the cicadas. They have the cicadas as background music, really. With the water supply shut off, we couldn't use our flush toilet. The SDF Relief Squad had set up portable bathrooms, but since my dad was strongly opposed to using them, the Mabara family continued to use our flush toilets without running water. We had kept our bathroom bath water to use for laundry, so we were managing by scooping that into the basin and flushing it away. Huh? Kept our bath water to use for laundry, so we were managing by scooping that into the basin and flushing it away. What the fuck? I'm trying to think what they mean by that. So yeah, their bath water they reused for laundry. I don't understand the second part. According to my dad, the excrement of disease carriers would be full of viruses. So he refused to let our family go out and use the public bathrooms, saying that was the same as going out to get ourselves infected. We didn't have that much water left in our bathtub though, so we couldn't keep using the flush toilet without water for. Okay, that's what they were doing. Same thing that you're told if you're going to lose power for extended period of days, you fill up your entire bathtub. Fill up your entire bathtub and you take a small bucket and pour it into your toilet and it flushes. To make matters worse, since the virus involved here has a 1 month incubation period, it wasn't hard to imagine the quarantine around Himenzawa would last even longer than that. 30 to 50 days. By my mom's quick estimate, the quarantine was likely to last 3 months. I believe it lasts 3 whole months. It was the end of June, so the quarantine wouldn't be lifted until the end of September or maybe even October. That meant that the whole summer of 1983 was going to be cut away from Himazawa. It was very tragic for us. On the first day, we were caught up in the fear that the virus was everywhere outside of our house. But then the water trucks and relief supplies arrived thanks to the SDF. And once their doctors started their group examinations, we couldn't afford to stay completely shut inside any longer. Some people, like my dad, still refused to go outside even then, but they steadily started coming outside over time, both to secure necessities and they surged their fears of infection by having the doctors examine them. The same went for me. I couldn't stand staying cooped up in our creepy house with its duct taped shutters, suddenly watching the television with no one but my family around. I was much more anxious to go outside and check on my friends' well being. My dad continued to be stubborn about holding up in the house. So my exasperated mom and I went to the group examinations together. The town council our family fell under had decided to conduct the examinations in the schoolyard, of course. Lots of the villagers gathered there, and we were all lined up according to the divisions used for the council's newsletter. The disparity between the villagers in their normal clothes and the doctors covered head to toe in a white raincoat-like suit, biohazard suits, was very unsettling. It was clear evidence that they suspected us all of being carriers of the virus. Rena, Keiichi-kun. Oh, Rena, of course. Said the same damn thing. Thank goodness you're safe. Yeah, I just ran into Michan, Sumion. She was looking healthy too. Really? What about Sakato and Rika? They're in a different division, so I think they had to go somewhere else. Tried calling them a few times, but I can't get through. I tried calling sometimes too, but I had no luck at all. I guess the phone lines are just too congested to handle it. I had a rumor that there was someone in a car who wouldn't listen to the SDF's directions, so they had an accident and crashed into the telephone pole, cutting the lines out completely. But another person said the government had switched them over to authorized use only, so the average citizen can't use them right now. Long story short, everyone's confused and the information is all mixed up, huh? Right after I said that, someone smacked me hard on the back. Mion. Yep, unless it's Shion. No, it's Mion. Kei-chan, great to see you're safe. That's my line. I'm glad to see you're safe too. Mion made a big show of wiping her tears away, enjoying our union after only a scant few days. It's been 2 days. There's no need to explain it at this point, I think. But the old customs here meant Himazawa was governed by three ancient clans known as the Three Families. The Fude, Sonozaki, and... oh shit, I can't remember the third one. Sonozaki family, yep. Right now, Mion's family, or Sonozaki family, is the head of that organization. According to Mio, the Sonozaki family was already taking the initiative and leading the unified town council to try and settle the whole situation. They were also working together with the government and SDF, so they had information that regular villagers didn't know about. Mion, be blunt with us. What's going on? Has this virus really infected all the villagers? According to this morning's explanation, the likelihood of that is pretty slim. From what they said, the infected showed up over in Takasudo, and hardly anyone lives over there. Since the quarantine was set up so quick, they're saying they don't think it reached Himazawa area yet. Yes, it does, because it's airborne. Once they confirm everyone in Himazawa is clean, then they could hopeful. Then they're hopeful they can start lifting the quarantine in stages. I hope that's true. I feel bad for those living in Tuxtok, but it'll be nice if Himazawa's quarantine ends sooner. That's when Mio gave us a sharp look. Then she grabbed my head and ran us, pulling us in close to her own. Then she whispered so quiet that only we could hear. But I don't think we can be that optimistic, actually. sorry, I had to go take care of my mail. uh, let's see here. I don't think we can be that optimistic. Actually, I'm able to use a radio myself. A modified mine to pick up transmissions from the police and the SDF. From what I'm hearing there, this isn't that simple. After all, Himazawa is a pretty isolated village all by itself here in a mountain range. They don't have a clue how this virus managed to transmit itself here from overseas. So far, none of the affected people the government has discovered have any history of traveling out of the country. So now they're investigating the travel history of everyone in the village, wondering if there might be another carrier. So you're saying that someone got infected while in a different country and brought this back to our village? Yeah. Apparently there's some leeway in its incubation period. They can't rule out the chance that whoever brought it here is still incubating the disease. Also, there's no guarantee that the person ever traveled abroad at all. There's still a chance they got infected when they came into contact with a carrier from outside the village. By my guess, the quarantine zones won't be limited to just Himazawa. Worst cases, the quarantine could extend to the prefecture or even to this whole part of the country. Hmm. How can this be? Also, this is just between us, but there's talk that that this one might be different from the African killer virus they mentioned on TV. My cat just climbed on his tree behind me. What do you mean? I'm not sure either, but some of the chatter I'm picking up on the rail suggests that they suspect this whole virus crisis might be caused by an epidemic disease native to Hinazawa, the Hinazawa syndrome. You mean some killer virus has been hiding in Hinazawa for years? Yes. Remember, okay, they mentioned in, I can't remember which chapter it was, but there was a theory that there's fumes coming up from the swamp in Himizawa, and that was what was causing the syndrome. Clue, clue, clue? I'm not sure either. The only thing I do know is that there's an old legend still passed on around here that talks about something impure rising from the swamp and attacking the village. Wow, I just said that before they even said it in the actual game. And yes, my knowledge is based off the anime, which is based off the games. Makes you wonder whether something's risen up out of there again. But Michan, if that's true, then we can rest easy. I mean, the village wasn't wiped out all those years ago, right? Which means it's far less lethal than the virus they're talking about on TV that wipes out whole villages. According to the myths of the old Onigafuchi demon village, anyone possessed by the impurity from the swamp became a demon. In the end, the villagers couldn't do anything, and they were at their wits' end until Orashiro-sama descended before them, the god that apparently has the curse. Which means the village couldn't escape that disaster until a miracle occurred. Exactly. If not for that miracle, the whole village would have been wiped out. Seems there were a lot of older villagers who believed this whole virus commotion was Orashiro-sama's curse. I could see them here and there going through rosaries and offering prayers up as they begged for forgiveness. That commotion would settle down if Rika, the reincarnation of Oroshima, would just deny that it's the curse. My granny is trying to explain that to the people from the SDF right now. Well, I doubt outsiders can understand what Rika means to this village. Yeah, the superstition aside, it would be a relief to see Rika and Sakato myself. That's right. Himezawa has a unique religion that worships a guardian deity known as Orashiro-sama. Central to that faith was the legend of Urashio-sama's curse. So there were a lot of villagers conflicting that curse with the current commotion. Yeah. That was why everyone wanted to see Rika Frude, who was considered to be Urashio-sama's reincarnation, alive and healthy. No, she has Urashiro with her. And hear her proclaim that this commotion had nothing to do with Urashio-sama. It was the first emergency situation in this manner that the village had faced. No one had yet to recover from the shock to the heart, and they wanted something to cling to. But even if the village was ruled by superstition, it was still a part of modern 20th century Japan. So, of course, they wanted to respond calmly without mulling about in confusion. No shit. So many have decided for themselves that as long as they saw Rikafude safe and sound, then they would regain their composure. That also meant that if they couldn't see Rikafude, then they would remain lost in their superstitions. Oh, yay! Without school, I had completely lost my sense of what day it was. So we're 10 days into the whole thing now. And this is since the quarantine went in effect. So the television program was all that barely maintained my sense of daily life. For the first few days, the television only covered what they dubbed the Himizawa virus outbreak and the resulting quarantine, hence outbreak. Once the 10th day had passed, the news only mentioned it when something special was happening. As far as the public was concerned, some minister or another hadn't cut his golf game short when the Himizawa crisis happened or something. So they quibbed over that, which led to queries into his secretary's salary or something. All completely pointless stuff. Or pointless shit. As long as it wasn't brought up in the news, society proudly deluded themselves into believing the virus crisis was resolved. Couldn't help but realize how coldly society gorged itself on the misfortune of others. By this point, most villagers had gotten over their hesitation to go outside, at least to collect supplies and such. Lately, Mion's been wondering if it's not just our village being quarantined, but Okinomiya as well. We didn't have to go into town to shop, and some had started joking that it was much easier with water and food all being delivered for free. I'd force a smile at that, but I couldn't shake the sense of entrapment brought on by the quarantine lasting 10 days already. Yeah, when everyone had their issues a few years back and that quarantine. Oh, wait, I still had to fucking work. I wasn't quarantined. I had to walk around with a damn mask and suffocate. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm not used to my washing machine dropping boxes off it. uh, the same went for Mion. She sounded lighthearted and carefree on the surface, but Mion couldn't shake the anxiety from her expression earlier, or either. With the thing, with the way things were, staying at home wasn't helping. If I was at least talking to someone, I could distract myself. I even started volunteering to help carry the plastic tanks of drinking water, excited at the chance to see my friends buy a water supply. Of course, it wasn't like it was fun though. When we saw each other, we only shared our anxieties. But even so, it was still far better than huddling under a blanket all by myself. Kei-chan, you look well. Got any strange spots? Michan, that's not funny. No shit. Mion and Rena too. Thank goodness, phones are still out as usual. So seeing you here is a relief. Yeah, lately I've been wishing they'd reopen the school. How? I forgot Rena does those sounds. If the school were to reopen, then we could all think back on our peaceful everyday lives and do our best to pretend everything was fine. But I guess not. If I recall, Chi Sensei lives in Okinomiya, so they can't reopen the school if she can't get there because of the quarantine. Well, it's not so bad since school's closed over this unprecedented disaster. We should take the chance to enjoy living freely like this. Mia's personality was truly valuable in times like this. No shit. Since she could get the conversation going easily and make it as light as our usual everyday chatter. But in the end, she brought the conversation back to our worries about our current situation. Oh, right, Rena, Kei-chan, don't get upset, but listen. It's just between us, okay? Mion drew us both behind cover and lowered her voice to a whisper. What? What is it, Michan? Have you learned something new? The SDF gave us a good enough explanation when the quarantine first started, but lately they haven't made any more announcements about the ongoing situation. That meant we were left with nothing but rumors and word of mouth. But since we were further isolated based on how we were divided, under the council, the villagers had limited interaction with each other. And even those rumors weren't able to get around well enough. Fortunately enough, our village had a decent amount of amateur radio fans, so they were using their radios to contact each other. Mion was one of the people using her radio to check how the other quarantine areas were doing, trying to get a grasp of the full state of Himazawa. Well, our phone lines still haven't recovered, so the radios are really crucial in times like these. So, did you learn anything? Yes. Well, it sounds like it's true that Rika's been taken into custody, and no one knows what's going on with her. She took a brief pause after that. The Sonozaki family has been strongly requesting that Rika Fude go around the village, so they could wipe away any fears of Orashiro-sama's curse. But those demands keep kept getting ignored. The SDF didn't want a carrier traversing the village and spreading infection, So they kept each council area strictly isolated, and so none of the villagers could find out how Rika Fude was doing, which only stirred their anxieties up even more. If anything were to happen to her, the reincarnation of Urusio-sama, then that could only mean one thing. The end of the village has passed down in legend. Oh, yay! Of course, my cat's meowing behind me now. What do you want? What, Heaven? What? Meow. Yes, I- I'm going to scratch your tail. You're the one sticking your tail toward me.